Welcome. I am Dr. Jessica Fernandez with the UGA College of Environment and Design, and I am pleased to be here to introduce Rachel Grant. Rachel is an Atlanta-based fine artist and educator. She earned her M.F.A. in painting from the Savannah College of Art and Design, and also a Bachelor of Arts from Auburn University. Rachel has served as an instructional associate in the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering at Georgia Tech. She teaches visual arts to graduate and doctoral level students there. She's also served as a volunteer art instructor with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta at Scottish Rite and the Boys and Girls Club of America. Rachel has exhibited throughout the United States, Hong Kong, and in France, and completed a residency at the Elizabeth Foundation for the Arts in New York City. Her artwork is included in private and corporate collections, including Hotels by Hilton, Southerly Hotels, and Auburn University. Currently on display here at the University of Georgia's Circle Gallery in the College of Environment and Design is Natural Engagement, Where Earth Meets Sky, a solo exhibition featuring nearly 40 original oil paintings created in the last 5 years. The works on display explore human interaction with the natural world through studying and depicting clouds. Now, Rachel will share insight into the exhibition. Thank you for joining us, Rachel.
Thanks so much, Professor Fernandez. It is a joy to be here at the University of Georgia. As you mentioned, in the body of artwork displayed in the show titled Natural Engagement, Where Earth Meets Sky, I explore human interaction with the natural world and our atmosphere through studying and depicting clouds. Before I dive into discussing the work on display, I would like to give you a little background on how I arrived at painting clouds in the first place. In 2015, I had just moved into a new studio space in Atlanta, Georgia, and had all of this room to create a new body of artwork. Up until that time, I had been creating work about femininity and personal identity, and I had been working in several different media, including painting, printmaking, sculpture, and even dabbling in photography. And having a new studio space, really thinking about how we engage with our spaces, inspired me to change gears and try something completely different. So I gave myself a 1-year challenge to paint just one thing, and I chose painting because when I really thought about it, it was my favorite way of creating artwork. And the thing that I chose was my favorite thing to paint, which was landscape. And this was working in a long tradition of painters. So there's a rich art historical tradition of landscape painters. My favorite is the post-impressionist painters, who I've always been influenced by, names that you're probably familiar with: Van Gogh, Cézanne, Monet. So I really decided to create exactly what I loved, and in that long tradition, started plein air landscape painting. So I would go out into the field, bringing my paints, canvases, supplies, create a painting, and come back into the studio and work on it, finish it up. I perhaps had taken photos, would work from photo references, and this became my goal for 1 year, to paint in this one way. Something interesting started happening in that year. I noticed in my paintings that I was focusing less on the land in front of me and more on the sky. I was looking up and really observing the clouds that were passing by. And that became my new subject matter, and I didn't even, really expect it. I thought I was focusing on the land, but eventually the sky became more important to me, and that's what I now call my cloudscape paintings. It's been 5 years, and I'm still completely engaged by painting clouds, and it is still what I'm focusing on. However, I've been able to really explore different types of clouds, which you'll see in the exhibition here at Circle Gallery. I would describe my process as intuitive. So when I'm creating something, it's less important to exactly represent what I see in front of me. It's not going to be an exact copy of a moment when I'm looking at nature, or a photograph that I may have taken of the sky. But I'm really trying to convey the feeling of being in that place through my paintings. The signature piece for the exhibition is titled Natural Engagement. This is a large painting. It's about 4 feet tall by 6 feet wide, and it depicts a massive cumulonimbus cloud. In this painting, I decided to include some of the ground, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And so you'll see trees in the foreground and light poles. And the reason that I did this is because I wanted to depict the scale of the clouds and really give it place and ground it somewhere that could be relatable to the viewer. So that is the signature piece. One thing that I really love about this piece is the drips in the paint. When I paint, my process is somewhat intuitive. So I don't mind if the paint drips and flows. I don't know exactly what the painting is going to look like when I get started. And that's one of the really fun things about making artwork in cloudscapes is that clouds are very interpretable, and so I'm able to have a lot of fun with the paint when I'm portraying clouds. Visitors to the exhibition will also notice that there are several small studies for the larger works. These essentially function as a sketch in paint for the larger painting. So for the signature piece, Natural Engagement, there is a small piece called Natural Engagement Study that is 12 inches tall by 9 inches wide. Other cloudscape paintings in the exhibition with studies include Luminous and Violet Dusk. The exhibition starts with more traditional landscape paintings. These are scenes captured mostly in the southeastern United States. They include St. Simon's Serenity, which is the Low Country, Asheville Plein Air, September Landscape 1 and 2, which were painted in plein air on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and Atlanta, which I would describe as a cityscape. Another series of works on display is titled Ariel. I'm the daughter of a commercial pilot and have always been very inspired by the sky, and I think I come by it honestly from my dad. So whenever I'm flying in a plane, I always try to grab a window seat so that I can capture new inspiration. And I also get a lot of great reference images from my father. So two paintings on display from the Ariel series are Virga, and the word Virga is actually meaning when rain evaporates before it hits the ground. And the other is titled Paper Wings 2, which is a peaceful painting that includes the moon in the subject matter. Another series portrayed in the Circle Gallery exhibition is the Eclipse series. And this I actually painted fully from photographs because it portrays the full solar eclipse that happened in 2017. And the eclipse only lasted 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So that's really fast to create a painting during. So I actually traveled to Tennessee to experience this phenomenon in person and took lots of reference photo and video and created a series of paintings from the Eclipse series. Most of these paintings are now in private collections, but I do have one on display here. It is titled Eclipse. It's a 36 by 48 inch oil on canvas painting. One thing I really love about this painting that I think I was able to capture and hope that the viewer sees as well is the movement in the sky from when the earth became dark for just those few minutes. And something very interesting about the experience was the feeling of nighttime for me. So I tried to paint both day and night, which was a unique challenge, and that's what you see when you're looking at the painting titled Eclipse. Two more series that are included in the exhibition, Implosion and Launch, actually feature clouds that could be described as man-made. And so I'll start with the Implosion series. Living in Atlanta, I've been able to view two buildings that were imploded in the city. And one was the Georgia Archives building, and one was the Georgia Dome sports arena. An implosion usually takes place, I learned, at sunrise, and the city is often warned because there will be a loud noise and the earth will shake and there will be a huge cloud of smoke as to not alarm people. So I was able to view both of these implosions in person and took lots of images so that I could create paintings inspired by them. So the cloud was actually debris and dust from the buildings. And because the implosions took place at sunrise, you'll see in the paintings that the clouds are a beautiful orange and pink color. So this was just one way that I chose to investigate clouds a little more beyond what we see in the sky every day, looking beyond the natural world and into how man actually creates clouds. The next series, which is more recent, the most recent series that I've made titled Launch, actually depicts space launch clouds. So the cloud that is created by NASA or SpaceX when the rockets go into space exploration. So during the pandemic, I know that we can all relate globally that we were isolated, stuck inside, not socializing. So for me, watching the news became very important, just so I could stay in touch with the outside world. And one thing that I became very fascinated by was space exploration, and how interesting it is that it is so active right now. So I took images from the news that I borrowed and compiled them and painted some of these clouds that were created as a way to create something that was positive and interesting, and just a series that is more of a departure from what I had been painting recently, because it does portray rockets, and in addition to just clouds in the natural world, something again that is man-made, but I think is a symbol of hope. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about my artwork. I hope that my work inspires viewers to reflect on your own relationship with nature and our changing world, especially during these unprecedented times. I challenge the viewer to take a moment in your own lives to look up and explore the beauty of our natural surroundings. I was recently reading an article in Psychology Today by Dr. Colin Ellard titled, "Look Up, the Surprising Joy of Raising Your Gaze." In this article, he describes how simply looking up can positively affect your moods and the patterns of your behavior. I can certainly relate to this and try to infuse this into every painting that I make. I hope that you'll view them in person at Circle Gallery on the campus of the University of Georgia, open Monday through Friday in the College of Environment and Design.